to another edition of the Bliss Catchers. It is 7 p.m. and it is the last Saturday of the month. So it's as always happening at Odyssey. Everything's happening at Odyssey. It's all happening at Odyssey. So my name is AVIS. For those of you who are new here and don't know me, my soulmate Vani and I are happy to present to you this edition of Bliss Catchers, which is the 43rd edition. For those of you who know Vani and me, here is some interesting trivia. For those who don't know, it's unsolicited information, please forgive me, but I'm feeling a bit romantic right now because today happens to be the day I met Vani 31 years ago. It was on 27th October 1987 that I met Vani for the first time. I saw her about 5 days before that, but we got introduced to each other in the office of the principal of Bharati Vidya Bhavan where we were studying. So thank you, Mom, for being in my life, and thank you for walking alongside me, and thank you for being part of everything I do, Bliss Catchers included. Now, Bliss Catchers would not also be possible without the support of Odyssey. Odyssey are not just venue sponsors, they're partners for Vani and me on this fascinating journey of bringing you this set of amazing conversations month on month for the last 4 years. There's a man standing very quietly at the back, Ashwin, who I call the original Bliss Catcher of the universe. And without Ashwin and his team, we wouldn't be able to bring you this. So thank you so much, Ashwin. Thank you so much, Odyssey. Now, what's Bliss Catchers all about? Bliss Catchers, the series, is celebrating all those people who go out and do what they love doing, who demonstrate great courage, and who take and make important choices about what gives them joy. The Bliss Catcher series is inspired by Joseph Campbell's philosophy of Follow Your Bliss. Campbell is an American mythologist and author, and he said, follow your bliss and doors will open. Now, many of us know what we want in life, we know what makes us happy, but we will not take that step forward to follow our bliss, to follow what gives us joy, because we are trapped in our own insecurities. And most of the time, those insecurities pertain to our the economic side, the financial side of our business. So we keep on postponing it, saying at some point in my life, I'll do it. But Campbell said, if you follow your bliss, doors will open. And that's what all our Bliss Catchers have been doing remarkably and have been happier than what they were before they made this important choice. You know, Vani and I were talking to a prospective Bliss Catcher earlier this week at Starbucks. We were having coffee with him. And he was telling us a story. He's a cop who has quit the Tamil Nadu police service after 32 years. And he's 55 now and has taken up cycling full time. So I said, wouldn't you have waited a few more years to retire, get your pension benefits completely, your retirement benefits? Why did you take the plunge now? He said, I can't do cycling when I'm physically not able to do it. I'm still able to do it, so let me take the deep dive. And he said in Tamil, cycling என்னுடைய காதலுங்க, எனக்கு அதை ரசிக்க தெரியுதுங்க, ரசிக்க முடியற நேரத்துல நான் அதை செய்யலனாக்க எப்படிங்க, அது என்ன கைவிடாதீங்க. That's the spirit of Bliss Catchers that we try to bring you and showcase here month on month. As we speak, we are already curated in this series. We curated into 2019 all the way till September. That's how popular this series is. And I'm reminded of Rumi, my favorite poet, who said, don't be satisfied with stories. Don't be satisfied with stories, which are stories of other people. Unfold your own myth. And that's the spirit that our Bliss Catchers bring to the table, and that's what we draw from them all the time. Vani and I do this series because it's our life's purpose to inspire happiness. Going through a cathartic phase over the last decade, going through an enduring bankruptcy, we discovered that being happy is of supreme importance, and that is more important than your circumstances itself. So choosing to be happy, which is to be non-worrying, non-frustrated, and non-suffering, is what makes life meaningful. And so I wrote my book, Fall Like a Rose Petal. I wrote this book, and this kind of changed our complete outlook to life, sharing our story, sharing our learnings. And this led to us curating conversations like the Bliss Catchers. We do 4 of them across the city now, and we call ourselves the Happiness Valas. We do life coaching, and we also run a workplace happiness firm called AV Initiatives. Google us. We have a very strong internet footprint, and we have a very powerful story, so look us up. But today is not about money, although I've been talking more than once about us. But today is about 2 wonderful, wonderful gentlemen, our Bliss Catchers for this evening, which is Amar Ramesh and Ravi Kiran. So let me introduce my guests for the evening to you, the way I met them. So Amar is a very popular wedding photographer. If you know somebody in Chennai who is either getting married or who's been to a wedding, you will invariably have an Amar Ramesh portrait popping up on your Facebook feed. That's the way I know of Amar. It came more than a few times on my Facebook feed, and I kept looking at Studio A, which is his studio, and I kept looking at the name Amar Ramesh, and I connected with it more than once because the pictures were spectacular. But it was during researching about a Bliss Catcher who we featured in February this year, a gentleman by the name Rajesh Gopalakrishnan. Rajesh quit his job with a bank to go set up a dairy farm and also to make curries for a living. And he wanted to opt out of the rat race and wanted to live a meaningful life. When I was researching on Rajesh, and he was our Bliss Catcher in February this year, when I was researching on Rajesh, one of the links went to a film that Amar Ramesh and his team had made. It is a part of Studio A, an arm of Studio A, which is called Big Shot Films, where they talk about powerful stories of relevance in our times. And one of the stories that they talked about was Rajesh's story. And looking at that video, I decided that, hey, let's get Rajesh onto our show. So that's when I was drawn to this man called Amar Ramesh. And I told him, I said, hey, who's this guy? He does wedding photography, and he's made such a beautiful, short, meaningful film on Rajesh Gopalakrishnan. So we kind of invited ourselves over to meet Ramesh. It was at his state-of-the-art studio just off RT Salai earlier in the year, and we sat down and we heard his story. He could have been living in the US right now, living what people generally believe is the Indian American dream, making a lot of money, and working in an IT company or in the IT space, techie space. But somewhere he got drawn into photography. And his idea was to come back to India and shoot the heritage and history of our temples in order to chronicle them. And he comes to India to take a year's reflective break as a first step. Follow your bliss and doors will open, said Campbell. And that's what he did. He followed his bliss and the door opened. Not only just for his temples project, but also for wedding photography, of which now he and his Studio A are masters. So I'm very happy to have Amar on my show. We will explore this journey, what led to the decision, how did it happen, what kind of conversations happened within himself, and how does he follow his bliss today now that he's got a very established business and brand. What is he doing in the space of what he originally set out to do, which was capture the history and heritage of our temples in the form of pictures. So that's Amar Ramesh for you. And my other guest is Ravi Kiran. I'm not a big Carnatic music fan. I don't understand Carnatic music. I enjoy all music, but I cannot tell a ragam from another. I don't know who composed which kriti or which composition. I have no idea. See, I'm struggling for words to even talk about your space, Ravi. So please, as they say in Hindi, Adukure Tamil and solla varadu. So gustaki maaf. Okay, as they say in Urdu. So I have a very long distance from the space of Carnatic music as a rasika. But when, for some reason, Ravi Kiran reached out to me, messaged me on Messenger, introduced himself, and it so happened that this was in 2016, if I remember right. And it so happened, I think I had talked about TMK in some form, at one of TMK's concerts, and again, I follow TMK more for his public views than for his music. So I happened to relate to both one particular evening, and I posted about it, and I think you read that post, and you he reached out to me. And it so happened that within a few weeks of that, I saw at the Music Academy during the Margary season, his concert was listed. And I told Vani, come on, let's go. This gentleman has reached out. Who's this gentleman? And I'll tell you how I related to his music, the way it happened to me. So I was sitting in the hall and he was singing. At some point during the concert, I found that there was no difference between the singer and the song. The two had blended. And this happened multiple times that evening, that afternoon, late afternoon. Multiple times. And I told myself that here's somebody that is immersed in what he believes in doing. And that led to Vani and me calling him and his beautiful wife Archana for coffee. And we met at Starbucks again and had coffee together. And I discovered a fascinating story of how, like many young children are introduced to the world of Carnatic music, he went away, far away to BITS Pilani to study engineering. And when he was in BITS Pilani, his music found him and has never left him since then. That led him to reach out to TM Krishna, to offer himself as a student, seek him as a guru. And the most amazing part of Ravi Kiran's story is that he continues to have a full-time IT job. He's a senior manager in a leading IT firm. He has a team that he leads, and yet he tours continents. He went to the US last year, he went to Australia earlier this year, and keeps his job and follows his bliss of music. How does he do both? That's the story that we are seeking to explore today. So I have both my guests all set for the conversation this evening. Amar Ramesh and Ravi Kiran, very happy to have you on my show. Please do join me. Thank you. So as they settle down, ladies and gentlemen, let me walk you through the format. For the next 45 to 50 minutes, and maybe a little longer, the three of us will be in conversation. Somewhere midway at 7:40, and I have a clock, and I'm timing this entire conversation. So at 7:40, I will take a break to ask you what is called my quiz questions. These questions will pertain to Amar Ramesh and to Ravi Kiran, so please listen intently. If you answer right, you get to win this beautiful mug. Okay? And this mug is specially made by Odyssey to make sure that your morning coffee tastes much, much more blissful than it usually does. And so you win a mug each for questions on Ravi and on Amar. And then we continue the conversation. At the end of the conversation between the three of us, we come to you, if there is time, we come to you for your questions to the guests. And after we are done with that, the guests will ask you both of them will ask you a quiz question each. And you get to win the mugs again. So totally, we'll have 2 questions from me to you on the guests, and 1 question from each guest to you. So totally 4 mugs going away this evening. So stay tuned all the way till the end. At about 8:25, I'll do a quick wrap of today's conversation and close the evening at 8:29 sharp. That's the format. So let's get started. Please pick up your mics. And how are you both feeling? Feeling good? Is everything set? Your mic's okay?
Yes.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay. Fantastic. So let's start with you, Ravi. Let's start with your journey first. My first question to you is about the way I see your story. What comes to my mind is you're really a Chamakka Payan from a Chamakka family, and you learned music because Amma was playing the veena, and you got drawn into learning music as a child. But typically college ellaam pona idella vittu podum. How is it that music stayed with you through those years in BITS Pilani? And what happened there that you believe changed your life forever? And why? I mean, I'm curious to understand how did this happen of all places in BITS Pilani?
Sure. You சொன்ன மாதிரி I think like you said, no, college போன எல்லாம் விட்டு போயிடுன்னு சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? எனக்கு exactly opposite. College போன எல்லாம் புடிச்சுட்டு இருந்தேன். So that's the normal trajectory, like you would say. But college was a real eye opener for me. When I left for Pilani, like most engineering students, aspirants, it was something that we had to do. So, you know, embarking on a typical engineering journey, and I thought, okay, go there, keep singing, keep practicing now and then. That's it. But when I started college, when I started studying, I met this wonderful friend of mine, Ashwin, and he was already a performing musician by then, typical Mylapore boy who was a performing musician. And when I got to interact with him, when I rubbed shoulders with him, when I started talking with him, there was I could sense that there was this whole world out there that was somehow beckoning me. It was such a connect that I had. And gradually one thing led to another, so we used to practice every day. And we had a wonderful director at Pilani, the late Dr. Venkateshwaran. He had actually given us a room in the institute where we could practice. So we used to go every night after an early dinner, after say 7:30 or 8 o'clock. We used to walk to the campus, walk to the main institute building. We used to sit there and practice, like 2 hours, 3 hours, time for the theriyadu. படிப்பு கம்மி பாட்டு ஜாஸ்தி தான் பண்ணோம் பிளானில.
Seriously? Yeah. And I thought that was a complete Padips environment.
It is. But it was definitely more of music as far as I was concerned. It was just music, and for me it was, I just found what excited me at that instant in time. So till then it was as though that music is something that other people do. Kacheri poi kettala, there are all these great musicians whom I used to listen to, but it was never something that I thought was within my reach. So this kind of made me feel that this is something that one could do with practice, and no, one could do. Once you get that feeling, we just in unknowingly started practicing, just started singing. It was almost out of 24 hours, out of the 18 hours that we were probably awake, it was just music, talking music, listening to music, discussing music, all 4 years.
Wow. I have a question here which kind of relates to what you're saying, so forgive me for coming in and interrupting you. Let's say when you were on that train or when you arrived in the Pilani campus, BITS Pilani campus, music must have been completely somewhere at the back of your mind. I mean, very far extreme of your mind. It was
not even on the horizon.
It was not even on the horizon. That was my point. So, and what you're saying is completely opposite. Exactly the opposite happened. So, were you resigned to the fact that you were probably just schooled in early music as a child, and that it's going to be engineering and a very techie kind of environment, A, and B, did this awareness that music is now possible, did it grow on you, or was it one moment when you woke up and you probably sat with Ashwin or just sat alone and sang a song and said, this is what I want to do? How did it happen to you? So there are two parts to my question.
Yeah, I'll try to remember both of them. So when I entered the campus, and obviously, like you said, music was not even on the horizon. Like Carnatic music is not on the horizon when you're 2,000 kilometers away in a village in Rajasthan, right? That's the last thing that's on your mind. But like I said, it was an organic process where once you start singing, once I started practicing, once I started jamming, if you would call that, with him, somehow I felt that this was something that that really made me feel happy or made me feel excited. I don't know if excited is the right word for it, but calling, if you will. I mean, that's probably too profound a word, but you feel that this is what I like doing again and again and again. And once you realize that, you just keep doing it again and again. So there was really, if you ask me, was there one moment? I don't think so. It was every day, every hour we used to just talk about music, listen to music. That unknowingly I was neck deep into music, which I was not before entering, in fact. Because all the way till I went to college, like you said, like any middle class family, the goal was to study engineering, get yourself a job. That's the typical approach, and that's fair enough. That was the approach we used to have, because we had to be a breadwinner for the family and all that. So, but this, once I found this, it was like I did not even think far ahead about whether I want to pursue it or whatever. But here was something that I liked doing.
And it was giving you immense joy.
Immense joy. I mean, joy is I think it's a very weak word for it.
It's a very weak word. The right word is what Campbell says, which is there in our scriptures, which is ananda, rapture.
Exactly.
It is that which you're struggling to articulate. I'm just bringing in a word there. But Campbell says, when you know what your ananda is, when you know what your bliss is, what your rapture is, what makes you lose yourself, that is the point where your life is now being led by what you love. That's your starting point of your fascinating journey. I have an operational question here. You must have been in your teens, obviously, when you entered BITS Pilani, and we were living in a non-Skype era. I'm making you sound very old suddenly. But we were still living in a non-Skype era when you were perhaps there. So how did you stay connected with learning music, even as you were jamming, and even as you were performing to yourself, but you still needed to learn, right?
So yeah, there were multiple ways in which we did it. One, the biggest learning that used to happen was from each other. See, after an initial learning, you learn a lot when you sing or when you practice with another person of a similar age, but who's better than you. In my case, he was much better than me, because he was already performing. Yeah, Ashwin. My friend. Yeah, so he was a friend who was much better than me, but who was the same age as I was. So in every practice session, I used to come back richer, because I had learned something new. Every time I used to learn something new. So there was a lot of learning happening on an everyday basis. It's a great advantage to start from zero, right? Because everything is a game. Everything, your mistakes you learn from, you're just not able to sing something, and that you're actually learning something at that moment, right? So that's the fun of being the dark horse. Everything is you win at every point. So I used to learn everything at every day. On the other operational front, of course, I used to learn from. I used to live in Bangalore back then, and I used to learn from the late Sangeeta Kalavidi, Dr. R.K. Srikandan, who was a non-Nigerian musician, fantastic musician, and I used to learn from him during the summer breaks.
So you would come, and then go back.
The day I landed from Delhi in the train, reach home, say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, my phone go to the Vadya saying, when can I come for class?
Wow. Wow.
So, and from the next day, and he used to also not, he used to push you to the limit. So he used to say, tomorrow 9 o'clock, come, that's it. So no relax, no rest. I mean, it was, he never yearned for it.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll come back to that because I have another question there, but I'll go to Amar for a bit to get his story started, and then I'll come back to you, Ravi. So Amar, my question to you is very simple. After college, engineering college here, and then your MS in the US, somewhere between 2004 and 2010, when I looked up your story and understood your timeline, you were doing well, working in a company. You had changed a couple of jobs, but you were still having a job in hand, a well-paying job. You were married, and everything seemed to be going fine in terms of Amar Ramesh, NRI, green card holder. Everything was heading perhaps in that direction. What brought photography into the picture? Was it that you were feeling empty within yourself and did not enjoy your work that you were doing, or was it serendipity that connected you to photography?
So, firstly, thank you so much, AVIS, for this wonderful opportunity, and thank you so much for hearing my story. Like many Chennai boys, engineering, then masters, and then immediately found a job, well-paying job, a job that I loved, and I was very good at also. That happened in 2004, and right after, like my first job, 6 months into my first job, they tell me, hey, you are really good at this. I want you to just travel and go to the companies and then install the software, give them training, and come back. Like I don't want you to be sitting in the desk and doing this. Travel and go to the companies, right? So I take up this traveling job where every Monday morning I'm going to a new city. Friday night I come back. Monday morning, Friday night. Monday morning, Friday night. Then I decided one week, like I was in a very nice beach town and wonderful beach and all that, and I decided, why am I going back and coming back again? Like I would just stay for the weekend and explore this new city. Every city I went was new, so I wanted to explore. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to go home again. I want to enjoy the weekend here and then go back to work. So that's how it started. And then while exploring, I wanted to take some pictures. Until then, I've never owned a camera, never used anything, nothing. This was around 2006. So that, like, my family never owned a camera also. Like, in fact, I should honestly, I have only 3 or 4 pictures of my childhood. I don't really know how I looked. That's how far we were for photography. So I buy a camera and then started taking a lot of pictures, and then started later. Like somehow this photography is like physics with numbers, and I was really good at like mathematics and all that. These numbers, and then there was this art factor where like people saw the picture, they said, oh, you're really good at it, you have to do something about this. So this marriage between art and the physics excited me. So I got hooked into it, and then my friends kept saying, hey, you have to buy a serious camera. I didn't know what a DSLR was. They said serious camera. That's how my serious camera is a DSLR. So I went and got a serious camera, and then I started shooting, and that changed everything. Like I got hooked into it. I started to learn more of it, and then I went mad about it. Like I was just crazy about this, shooting everything, like sunset, sunrise. I would go to work at 6 in the morning, come back by 2, and then from 2 to 10 I would literally do photography every day. So that's how it started. So
you taught yourself even as you were shooting, even as you were experimenting?
Yes, I'm a byproduct of this University of YouTube. So, yeah, that's how I started. Like I started reading a lot of blogs, watching a lot of videos, and a fortunate thing is around that time, revolution in photography was happening in the US also. So many people were coming out, writing, sharing things and all that. So I started following them, and slowly there was this madness about this photography. That's
How do you describe? Can you describe that word madness? How mad would you be? What would you do about madness? This is a very important word. Okay, so we'll come back and elaborate this.
Yeah. No?
Yeah. Talk
So
about the word madness. How mad were you?
So like you said, right? Like I finished my first job, that was a traveling job, and then moved on to a second job. That is when I'm also getting married. And this job was totally opposite to what I was doing. Like very peaceful, 8 hours. The office was just 2 minutes from home. Beautiful walk. Very well paid, and then stress-free. I was just going and taking calls for 8 hours. I would just be in meetings, and I would come back home. But then I was also parallelly getting into this world of photography, and there was this new website for photography called Flickr, which was like a social media for photographers. So every day I would come back and start taking pictures, sharing it, talking about it. Everything we did was, like I did, was about photography. Everything, like all my friends were through Flickr. We were talking about pictures, people, like contrast, color. Everything was that. Right, I would just wake up in the night and then see how many people have liked my picture, what they have commented and all that. So even if you, like even now, a lot of people ask my wife, hey, why did you let him, like take this plunge? She would say, I would rather be with a, like a non-commercial, less paying job husband, rather than be with a, like a mental guy.
Unfortunately, Netra couldn't be here today because she's down with viral fever, but she's been a big support in his journey, as we can make out. But that's his level of madness. This walking the line of lunacy is a very clear indication of what your bliss is. Something that you wake up to do, something that comes in the way of your sleep, that doesn't allow you to sleep. So when something comes in the way of your sleep initially, and I think all of us who have been in love will remember that phase in life when you're in love, you can't sleep, right?
Exactly, yeah. And also I think universe also has a plan for you. It just puts things together and that you don't know, and then later you realize, oh wow, this happened for this, right? So many things happen for that. And the second job that I take, my colleague is an encyclopedia of photography.
Wow.
The guy who sits next to my cabin is just a book of photography. But the beauty is he never goes and shoots, but he knows everything about photography. So every meeting you put the phone in mute and then you talk about photography, right? and then you would think, now why did he become my colleague, right? And then now to think about it, so he taught me so many things about photography.
That's fantastic. That's a good anecdote. Thank you for sharing that. So I think that, when he says the universe kind of plans things in a right way, that's what Campbell also means. That follow your bliss, and then the door will open. The colleague will come. People will come into your zone. But it's fine to have a passion, fine to be driven by it, be mad with it, obsessed with it, but to take a very big decision to uproot yourself from the US and move to India requires more than just madness. It requires a certain amount of plan. Was there a plan, or was there just a deep dive saying, Netra, come on, let's pack up and go to India? What were you planning to do in 2010 when you decided to move to India? What was the plan then?
Initially I never planned anything, and initially I never had a thought of like taking up photography as a profession. I just enjoyed it. I just don't wanted to do it as an hobby, and I just did it for the fun of it, for the it's the bliss, right? And then but parallelly also we wanted to move back to India. Like even before marriage, we spoke about it. We said, okay, 2-3 years we'll live here, and then we'll move back to India. And in fact, I was planning my career in such a way that I was practicing, like I was preparing for my GMAT. I wanted to do an MBA 1-year executive course and then come back here as a manager and all that. That plan was going parallelly. And also to come back here and live, without any problems. We want to also buy a flat. So we started doing all those plans parallelly, and on the side this photography was happening, and in a way that also pushed me to do something in photography, because photography is a very expensive hobby, right? So I had to do something to feed that hobby, right? Like, so, but because we were planning to come back and do something, we had to save money, and so Nedra said no touching salary, right? Like, the salary goes to the house expenses and all that. So I decided I have to do something in photography that feeds my hobby, and I'm going to use that. So I decided one day to write to all the photographers. So I just sat for weeks to just get a list of all photographers around the city. I collected almost 300 photographers from websites, blogs, from Craigslist, everywhere I can. I collected photographers' email and then sent them an email with my work. And then exactly...
This is still in the US?
Still in the US,
okay.
Yeah. Exactly 3 people replied. And again, going back to the universe plan, those 3 people were different, very different in what they were doing. One person was a photojournalist getting into wedding photography, very fresh, so she's starting this wedding photography business. Another person is an event photographer who shoots for all these Democratic Party events. And luckily that year, which is 2007, Obama was running for president, and every night there was an event. So that's where I went with them. I shot all these, like VPs and people from that creamy layer. So that's where I lost this inhibition of event photography, like lost this fear of shooting people and all that. And the third person was like the master of light, and he has been in the industry for 30 years. He's won a lot of awards and all that. And he used to literally, like hit on my head and say, "Hey, ennada de, do something well," So I learned from these 3 people, and I practiced so much, and also got some money through it, and which fed my photography of it. So இதெல்லாம் நடந்துட்டு இருந்தது. Parallelly, I was also, like studying for GMAT and all that. Then my friends started saying, hey, I started telling my friends, hey, I'm going to come back and work, find some work and all that. They started, telling me, hey, it's not like US, the work culture is very different. IT is not so great and all that. There was sense of this unknown thing, right? So, what should we do? And then, I should say one day I was just watching my manager sit and do his work. And, okay, I write my MBA, go to this manager position. He's just sitting in a better chair, better cabin, better salary, but doing the same thing, literally. We both are in same meetings. So I said, do I really want to do that? What if I can do something else, something exciting, something like very nomadic? Can I do something like that? And then that's when it hit me, oh, what is the other thing that I know? Other than like IT, what is the other thing that I know? Oh, it's photography. Can I try something in photography? That was the seed of this whole master plan. No, not moving to India. Moving to India was there. Like, I wanted to move, whatever, like, however it is, I wanted to move. But move பண்ணிட்டு என்ன பண்றதுன்றது தான் இது.
Okay.
So then I said, okay, I know photography, maybe can I try it? Then I come up with this idea of asking Netra said that, hey, give me 1 year. I want to take a sabbatical of 1 year and try out something in photography. If it works out, I'll do it. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back to IT. She said, fair enough, but what are we going to do for that 1 year? Let's start saving. Let's start saving now. We cut down on so many things. We moved down from a 2-bedroom apartment to a single-bedroom apartment. We sold out a lot of things. Cut down on going out to eat. Cut down on movies. Everything that we can do to save for that 1 year, we did. So we saved up for 1 year, and then we decided. Parallelly, I also started coming up with this idea called Land of Temples. I created a website myself. I said, India has to be marketed well, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to market temples really, really well. So I came up with this idea called Land of Temples. Sat update Netflix or website update mimic panni. I did a website for temples. Instead of movies, you'll have temples. So if you click on temples, you will get rating, you will get like
So
information about
that was your plan.
That was the plan. And it was a master plan. I had business plan. I submitted the business plan for competitions and all that.
So we'll come to that in the next segment. But I just want to capture a very important point that both of them mentioned. We first go with his point, which is that his friend in the new job was a person who was an encyclopedia of photography. Okay, and he writes to many photographers. One response is from a wedding photographer, one response is from an event photographer, and a third response is from somebody who's a master of light, right? And he learns from all three of them. And then he sees, in a reflective moment, sees himself sitting in his manager's chair and wondering, is that where I will end up? And begins to realize that that's not what he wants to do in life. In Ravi's story, Ashwin comes into his life, his friend, who Ravi calls as somebody who is more proficient, more prolific, more trained, and in a way, just jamming with him, just singing with him, makes Ravi a better musician, apart from his desire to be in Srikandan Mama's class whenever he visited Bangalore. So look at the beauty of how the universe conspires in their stories to give them what they actually want to be doing. And that's the way it happens. You don't get the full plan up front. You're not going to arrive at your destination and a metaphorical Oscar moment in your life where you're going to hold up a trophy and say, fantastic. That's not going to show up. But I think you will know just enough for you to move forward. So I'm pausing Amar's story here because Land of Temples is a fantastic point he's making, and I have a question, and I'm going to go to Ravi's story. But before that, I'm noticing it's time for our midway quiz segment, and these are very simple questions. I would encourage my regulars here not to answer, please, because they know the way I ask my question, so they know the AVIS mind, how it works. So we'll allow others. If they cannot answer, then we'll come back to you people. Okay? So thank you for being a sport. So let's go to the audience with my first question on Amar Ramesh. Okay? Look at this gentleman. He looks so handsome. He's so beautiful. Okay? So my question is, connect him to a Manmohan Desai film. Wait, sir, wait. Amar Akbar. Krishnan sir, okay. Anyway, the answer is Amar Akbar Anthony. I will give it to Ramesh. Sorry, sir. Amar Ramesh will give it to our Astana Ramesh. Okay, the man who's probably attended the most Bliss catchers after Vani and me. Yes, it is Amar Akbar Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Vinod Khanna played the role of Amar Khanna in that film, and fantastic film, by the way. And let's go to Ravi Kiran. Okay, the question on Ravi Kiran. If you've heard my introduction very carefully, you should be able to answer this, which is there can possibly be two authors that are very important to Ravi Kiran at this moment. One is me, which is because I'm sitting with him on the stage, and I've authored Fall Like a Rose Petal. The other is who?
Paul Coelho.
Not Coelho.
Krishna.
Krishna, absolutely. Not Paul Coelho. Paul Coelho maybe, but at the moment he is Krishna's student, disciple. So it is Krishna. So Dr. Chari, T.M. Krishna, the author, also. Thank you. Thank you. Krishna, interestingly, I looked up today, has authored 4 books, and I thought there were just 2, but he's actually done 4 books. So he's a much published author. And so let's go on with the story. Thank you for participating. Hold on for 2 more questions coming from Ravi and from Amar. Okay, so 2 more mugs to be won. Ravi, to continue with your journey, it's on Krishna. So my question to you is, how did you and why did you seek Krishna as your guru? How did that happen in your life?
Sure. So this was way back in college. In Pilani, our batch was one of the first batches where we started this classical music festival, which is still a very popular one called Sangamam. We were one of the first batches where we started this festival. And I believe it's probably the first or the second year of that festival. We invited TM Krishna there. And I honestly had not heard him before. And
You had not heard him before?
I had not heard him before. This was in 98.
Okay.
This was 98. So we had not heard him before. My friend whom I spoke to you about, Ashwin, he had heard him because they had a connection and all that. So we were the volunteers in the college. So we used to escort all musicians, make sure they are in the guest house, take them to the concert, stand in the wings, pull the curtains, you know. And as usual, the kacheri starts, and moment the concert started, in this case, please, 10 minutes into the concert, people probably had to tell me to close my mouth, and I was I was watching like this. It was a sound that touched me. It was a sound that touched my soul, and it continues to touch my soul. Till then, and even now, if you ask me, my most favorite musician and my all-time favorite is Shemuri Srinivasaiah. And somebody who lives, breathes, listens to Shemuri, and that's my all-time favorite. And this was a sound it touched me the same, in a similar manner to my soul. And I just felt that you get that, everybody gets their moment. So this was my moment. I had so that's how I heard his music. So every year in college, you have to do your last 6 months of off campus, where you actually work in a company. And so Pilani, we could have worked anywhere in the top IT companies and get some really fancy stipends. But me being me, I chose to every day, without fail, practically I've heard a concert in every day of those 6 months. And 50% of them would be TM Krishna's. So much so that it had turned to a time, this was again 99. It turned to a moment where we started exchanging smiles, and we used to start waving to each other, because I used to follow him to every nook and corner. I've heard him right from, of course, Mylapore and the Pesanathars and Adiyars, to Vadapalani, to Ammal, to areas which even I had not even heard till then, as a newcomer to Chennai. I had not even heard of these areas. I used to blindly go, to the extent that I used to go there, sit, listen to the kacheri, not realizing that there would not be probably a way to get back home also. So so many times, last count how many times I had to skip dinner because there was nothing open at that time, there was nothing available, and we were bachelors, so we didn't have any food at home. So
that's that magical word, madness.
It was you sit there, you forget count of time, you forget that you have to go back, you have nothing. 3 hours, you forget yourself. Then you figure out, and you don't have money to know. Then there's no Uber, Ola, first of all. And you don't have, even now I can't afford the Chennai auto, but back then also I could not afford the Chennai auto. So you have to catch multiple buses. By the time you come home, it will be like 12 o'clock, and you just sleep and wake up and you wait for breakfast. Sleeping is just breakfast. So
there was this fascination with
so much Krishna. I used to listen so much of TM Krishna.
But he must have been only 20.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what made you think of him as a guru?
No. So there was no guru at all in this picture. It was just a musician whom I admired and whose music I fell in love with. You was telling the story of the cop. You feel that a passionate involvement in that kind of music. Right? It just makes you feel happy. You get in the space and so this happened. So by the time it was 99, 2000, I was like completely into it. So I went back to Bangalore. I had to pursue music under my guru, R.K. Srinivas Mama then. Even in Bangalore, whenever he used to come, I used to go blindly to this concert, and no talking to him, nothing. We never spoke, because I was one of the countless rasikas that he used to have. 2002, I have no idea why it happened, how it happened. I knew that his kacheri was there later in the evening in Bangalore, and I happened to talk to the organizer. He said he's staying at such and such a place. I just picked up the phone, called her. I got the number. I called the person. I said, "Can I speak to DM Krishna?" Nobody, random cold call only. Like, so I called him, and then I said, "Sir, I want the place now." He just said, "Wango." Because then I was not a student. Want to place now? I just randomly went from one corner of Bangalore to another corner of Bangalore, telling my boss I was sick. So went, met him, talking to him. 2 minutes into the conversation, I tell him, I don't even know why I said it, how I said it, and what gave me the courage to ask. Random. And then he said, as long as your current guru is okay with it, I don't have a problem. So first thing, I went to my previous guru, and I told him, I was upfront. I didn't believe in all this. There were a lot of students who used to learn, who used to do this hide and seek of learning from 2 gurus and all that. I went to him, told him I want to learn from him. I need your blessings. He said, learn from everybody. That's how I've learned. That's how everybody has learned. Everybody has learned from the greats. Learn, you have mine.
That's how it
started. Total cold call.
The point.
There was no.
The point I'm picking up here from Ravi's story is you have experienced this. This cannot be described. There is no standard operating procedure. You can't pre-plan it. What intuitively comes to you is what you do when following your bliss. And it was intuitive that he followed Krishna's music. It was intuitive that he sought him out as his guru. Now, there cannot be an explanation other than an experience which led to that. So, I now take you on another dimension. You get to reflect on another dimension. You're now almost performing for the last couple of decades now. What happens to you? Can you describe the process of what happens to you when you do music, when you sing, when you practice, and when you perform? Are they 2 different experiences, or are they same? And how will you describe that whole feeling of doing music, of being a singer?
Yeah. Practice and performance are there. When, as a student of music, it starts off being 2 separate spaces. Practice, now you push yourself, you keep challenging yourself. To summarize, there was a phrase that my gurus always used to tell me, which is, practice what you don't know and perform what you know. Very simple. So that's the simple
way in which you approach.
Simple way. Practice what you don't know, what you're bad at, and perform what you're good at. You never practice what you're good at. Because you know, heart of hearts, all of us know what we are comfortable doing, what we know we can pull off even on a rainy day. But we all know where we have to work. So the golden rule has always been, when you're practicing, you practice what you know that needs a lot of polish. Right? That's one difference that we used to, that I still make between the 2. But as you perform more and more, you tend to, at least the past few years, I can definitely say, you get into a space where you say, keep all this aside and enjoy that particular moment. And that moment keeps changing. So there is, the moment you sit on stage and you say, moment you plan that day, you know that your music will not happen. Music will not happen. You can pull off a concert. See, there's an art to the music and there's a craft to the music. I'm talking about the art. Craft if you've heard enough kacheris and if you learn from a good guru, you've admired a lot of musicians, you'll pick up the craft, the skills. And craft and skill is something that if you practice, you get. If you practice 100 times, 1,000 times, whatever, but you'll get it eventually. Skill is something that you can acquire through practice, repeated practice with the right technique. But art is something that may happen, may not happen, and may happen if you're lucky, may happen in that one moment in a span of time. So but coming back to this, how I approach music, when you're performing, you just try to live for that moment and you surrender yourself to that moment and you say with all humility, what comes, comes. You don't expect things to happen at that point of time. You humbly accept whatever comes.
This is fascinating. This is fascinating, and thank you for talking about art and craft. You know, I'm reminded of another famous Persian poet, 14th century Hafiz. Hafiz said, I am a hole in the flute that God's breath moves through. Listen to this music. That's what Hafiz said. So it's amazing that you should touch upon the same thing in your experience. That is really what immersion is all about. So many people ask, how is it I decide that this is my bliss and not something else? Where you lose yourself, where you celebrate that moment where nothing else comes between you and what you're doing. You become that act. That is what is your bliss. So thank you for highlighting that. Let's go back to Amar's story. So Amar, land of temples, you had a business plan worked out, you wanted a Netflix kind of idea that you had created in your head, you had the template ready. How did wedding photography happen? So you moved to India, you had this apartment, and your 1 year between Netra and you had kind of worked out that let's give this a 1 year break and let's try out, and otherwise I'll go back to my IT job. So at that time you were pursuing the idea of land of temples. How did wedding photography happen?
So we'll take a step back. Before even moving back, I told you I went and joined these 3 photographers, right? And I started shooting weddings with them. Like, so Saturday one wedding, Sunday wedding, and then Monday morning I'll show up at work with my hands, like painful. I used to carry this big lens because I was the assistant. I was given this big lens, big heavy lens. So I was doing this all summer in 2008 and 2009 and 2010. And so I was shooting a lot of weddings. But then when I was planning this land of temples, I wanted to be a travel photographer when I come back to India. Also, I had this apprehension about Indian weddings. It's very chaotic. It's a lot of people, and then how would people see me as a wedding photographer, right? And then how will my family see me? Like, I've done this engineering masters, and can I go do wedding photography, right? So I had all this apprehension, so I never really was planning to be a wedding photographer when I came here. I said maybe I'll do it 1 or 2 to just show people how it could be shot, because I learned this art of doing it differently there. So then there was no this candid photography, there is no this documentary photography year 2010. So I just told them I might do 1 or 2 to just show people how it could be done. So I come back, immediately the first week I go start touring Tamil Nadu. I go to Madurai. Madurai was my first stop, shoot a lot of temples, then Karaikudi, Rameshwaram, I go shoot temples. And I had so much fun shooting temples. Parallelly, I'm also talking to everybody that I meet about my idea, publishing it in my blogs, talking about it in my Facebook, everywhere. Like, I'm just knocking on all the doors that I can see and telling people, hey, this is my idea, I want to do this, I'm working on a website, and these are my pictures. So people will say, Thambi, I see your passion, I see your work, it's amazing, but I don't need these pictures, but somebody that I know might need it, go to them. So this is how I went from one door to another door, and then finally I get an opportunity and I get an email from Hilton Chennai asking me to come shoot some portraits for their executive committee, their management, because they're opening up a hotel in Chennai. They said we want somebody to take portraits of the management team. I was not excited to do that because I wanted to be a travel photographer. I wanted this. So I went and I told them, hey, I know somebody who's very good at portrait photography. I'll refer them, but I need 20 minutes of your time. For a presentation, right? And I don't know, I just told them this, and then they said, okay, all right. And when I went there that time, I took pictures of the temple in my phone. Okay, I mean pictures of the hotel in my phone. and came back, sat at my computer, and then put my pictures, my temple pictures, in that hotel, right, in those walls, and created a presentation, right. And then I went, gave them a presentation. Luckily that day, the VP, GM, all the team were there and were sitting in my presentation. So I gave them 6 concepts. They loved it. They loved the pictures, and the sample pictures that I took, they wanted those pictures also. Like the VP, who is an American, he said, "Hey, I want to keep this in my cabin. Can I keep this?" I said, "Okay." So they loved the concept. They immediately said, "Okay, we're going ahead and approving this. I want these pictures on the walls." So they immediately around 90 pictures were sold. That was my first break.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
So just so that we don't lose track of this, the big story for me here is that he was very clear about what he didn't want to do. The most easiest choice would have been, let me shoot your portrait pictures of portfolio of your senior management team. Isn't it awesome? Thank you so much. By the way, I also do this. But he said, I'll put you on to other people, but give me 20 minutes of your time. That's a big learning. All of us have this option. We don't exercise it often. Continue, sir.
So, so I want to tell you why I had this confidence, right? Because it was a pre-planning. Because I know for sure this 1 year I don't have to deliver anything. Because we have already saved up for this 1 year. So I didn't do all these wrong decisions, right? I didn't have that fear of, I have to take this up, right? So, but then Hilton project happened. I had to print all the pictures, putting my own money up front, and that kind of ate the savings. So I was kind of a little jittery. Then universe again conspires, and a girl, like when I was in Seattle, I was doing all the short film festivals, weddings, and all that, right? So one of the short film that I did, a girl was working as a production assistant, and she calls me and says, "Hey, I'm getting married this December, and I'm coming to India. In my marriage is in Indore, and I have seen your wedding pictures. They are amazing. Indore, Madhya Pradesh. Yeah. I've seen your wedding pictures. They are amazing, and I don't know anybody who's doing that in India. I want you to come shoot the wedding." And I was like, okay, because I did this Hilton and I put some money, right? I also thought in my mind, okay, let's save up some money for my other tours of Tamil Nadu. So I said, okay, I'll do it, but this is my price and it's a premium price. She said, what? Like another team is coming and doing it, way lesser for this. An entire team is coming and you're going to come alone and you're going to charge me this. I said, yes, I know my pictures are worth this much and this is my price. And she goes back, and that evening, right, I am telling the story to my brother, and he's like, "Day, India வந்துட்டு நீ இந்த மாதிரி ப்ரைஸ்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு இந்தியாவில் வந்துட்டா ஒரு 4-5 வெட்டிங் ஃப்ரீயாக பண்ணோம், அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒரு போர்ட்ஃபோலியோ கிரியேட் பண்ணோம், அதுக்கப்புறம் உங்ககிட்ட வருவாங்க ஆளுங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் நீ இது பண்ணு." I told him, see, I don't want to do that. I want to be this premium photographer because I decided a free work will give me free work, a 10,000 work will give me 10,000 work, a lakh work will give me lakh work. I am going to be this premium guy. I don't care. I don't want to do if they don't want to hire me. And he said, "Hey, India patti purinchikoda nee." Okay. Then the next day she calls and says, "Okay, Amma, I like it, but enakaga you konjam." I said, okay. So I went to Indore, 36 hours in this. She said, "I'm paying you this much. I'm not flying you or not." So train ticket, and then I was like, "Appo vanda busla vanda." I was open for everything. I wanted to be this nomad. I wanted to be, a station la paduthu platform la irundhu andha mari or dream la vanda. So I was like, okay. But I traveled this 36 hours in this train and this, oh my god, இன்னுமே ட்ரெயினே ஏற முடியாது. So I went to Indore, அங்கிருந்து ஒரு 4 hours காரில் I went to this wedding, and because she paid me this much money, the bride decided that she'll put me in their house itself. That is a wonderful thing that happened. Again, universe plan, right? So I'm spending all the time with them in their house, talking about the wedding, talking about the financial problems, talking about, you know, the in-laws problems. I was one of their family member, right? I was bride's brother. Everything they spoke to their brother, they spoke to me also. I was sitting at the dining table, I'm like, hey, what's happening? This is amazing, right? And I shoot the wedding. I shoot it with like so much passion. I enjoyed it so much. And I wanted to experiment so many things, I experimented everything. And then I was so madly doing it. I would take pictures and then I would switch it on to video mode and then shoot videos also. Picture videos. I was doing that. Came back, edited the pictures, put up on website. It went viral. It went just viral. The girl is from Maharashtra, getting married in Madhya Pradesh. The boys are from Madhya Pradesh. The relatives are all spread all over India. So it just went across India. Like
that's how it started.
That's how this started. And then I was also right. Oh, this is amazing. I thought of wedding photography for something else, but this is something else, right? And also the bride told every family member that, hey, this is the guy, MS Mushta, IT Lapanta, he's come to do this, don't disturb him. So everybody saw me like a celebrity. Hey, man. They didn't disturb me at all. So I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I thought something else is, and something else is happening.
So two things happened to you simultaneously. One is your pictures on the
getting
temples,
into Hilton, yeah.
Temples get into Hilton,
and
you
this
did your first wedding photography assignment
yeah.
in India.
In India.
And that's how Studio Amar,
no. It is still Amar Ramesh. It was still.
No. I'm saying if we trace back the origins, that's the starting point.
Yes.
In India, right?
Yes.
So I have a question which I asked Ravi also. Let me ask that question. What happens to you when you are behind the camera?
Oh, I can relate so many things that Ravi told me. Like
talk to us a little bit about that emotion. What happens? Is it the video that works for you? Is it the stills, or is it just the camera? What's your experience?
It's video and pictures both, but mostly pictures, because when I shoot video, I'm just seeing it in LCD, right? When I'm shooting pictures, I'm shooting through the viewfinder, so it's a very different experience. When I call it the window of happiness, because I'm a person, I see happiness, I see brightness, I see colors. I can't see things in like dark, black and white. I see everything very grand and happy. So it's a window of happiness for me. See, now our memory is also a rectangular frame. When we think of something, it's actually a rectangular frame, and somebody is in 1/3 or in the middle of the frame, right? Like when we think of the memory. So it is this frame. Like let's say I have a bad day. I had an argument with somebody. I had something not working out, and then camera எடுக்கிறேன். எல்லாமே போயிடுச்சு. Everything is gone. It is that rectangular frame and me and things inside that rectangular frame. That's all. Everything is gone, and then after my thing is done, after my photo shoot is done, I come back as a different person. I come back as that original me, who's calm, composed, and all that. So it's like a meditation for me. It's like a meditation.
Right, that was the word I was looking for. So you meditate within that frame. You slip into it.
Yes.
So
yes, totally.
It's almost like a different body, a different person.
Yes, and it's amazing that it happens every time.
Every time you shoot.
Every time. Almost every time. Like
you
said,
shoot every day.
Almost. I plan my day in such a way that I have a shoot. And if I don't shoot, I feel very depressed. I'm like, oh, என்னடா பண்ற வாழ்க்கையில அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு feeling வந்துரும். I have to shoot. I have to do something.
This is very powerful. His definition of his bliss as a window to happiness. This is something which is very, very powerful. And it's not only about the rectangular frame of the viewfinder of a camera. It need not be rectangular. It can be anything. But are you having a window of happiness in your life? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. Okay, I'm keeping a watch on time. I still have some time, so I'm going to go to both of them with some very specific questions. So keep it tight and keep it very profound at the same time. Both of you are doing great. I never really thought that on inside you young souls lies so much of spiritual depth. Okay, so thank you for being the way you are and expressing the way you are. So let me ask you this question, Ravi. Your first concert happened in 2000. in Bangalore. I read up on that, and since then it's 18 years, and you kept multiple jobs, and the last one you kept this for 14 years. Why haven't you taken the deep dive into being a full-time musician, or is that a misnomer? You are a full-time musician who's doing a part-time IT job. What is it that you are, and why haven't you taken the plunge?
This is going too much on the record. So I'm not gonna, I don't subscribe to the concept of full-time, part-time. You know, honestly, to be very brutally honest, it depends on how much you put into it. Right? When you're doing it, you're 100% into it. There's no question of part-time, full-time. You know, if you're putting in your practice, if you're giving your 100%, it really doesn't. These are boundaries that we create for ourselves. That's my honest opinion. But as for your reason of why I have not gone full-time, mine is a different kind of a journey compared to most, probably a quintessential musician in Chennai probably. I started performing, like I said, no, my first serious concert was in 2000 probably. And so by then I just started working, around the same time I started working. So both these journeys kind of started off together, and by the time I'd reached a stage in music where I felt that something that I enjoy doing, it really did not matter whether it was full-time or part-time. That's one. Second, obviously being from a regular middle-class family, it was very clear that you had to have a job which would keep the house running, and there was really no two thoughts about whether this is something that I would be able to pursue full time. From an operational point of view, also there were challenges. So, but it never restrained me in the sense that did that stop me from giving my 100%, or I don't think so. You know, whenever you sit to sing and you sit to practice, I can completely relate to what Amar was saying. You know, and my wife was laughing that point. Archana was laughing because the day I don't practice, she'll come to me by evening and say, please practice. You're a wreck. You're a wreck now. Because the day I don't practice, morning I have to have the 2 to 3 hours of practice. If I miss it for some reason, rare occasion I miss it, by evening I'm on the same questions. I start asking all existential questions, and she's got used to it now. So that's why she was laughing when as soon as he said that, I looked at her, she was laughing because it's the exact question that I tell her always.
So I want to just pick up something very, very simple that he said. There is no full-time, there is no part-time. It's how much are you involved, how deeply are you immersed in it. Full-time or part-time is not the question. And I like the way you talked about being able to balance the two. So for those of you who don't know him that well, he can do an amazing job of doing a US concert tour and still working IST through the night. You know, so and I got I had that question, but the answer came out that as long as I'm able to be fully in my music, that's what is important. The day you are half-hearted about it, then you may have to rethink.
All this the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But Avis, I just like to add one thing.
Please.
When you talk about balancing, I think it's really a very overused term that you say. I look at people around me, my wife or the women in the family. You know, they multitask more than any of us. I mean, they run a house, 2 kids, perpetually doing. I mean, there are the compare. I mean, you see them cooking, keeping track of what's happening with each kid, and planning for the next day, all happening at the same instant of time. And so I don't think I think we're just because we're going out and working, it becomes a big deal. But I honestly don't think it's such a big deal at all. It is something that everybody can do.
In 43 editions of doing Bliss Catchers, many times people have come and asked us this question. So should somebody quit something to go do something? And here's one of those few instances when we have heard a guest say, you need not. As long as you're doing justice to both, and as long as you're able to manage it well through your immersion, through the process of enjoying. So fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I had a question for you, Amar. Studio A has really grown now. You have 25 people on board. You've been around for 8 years now as a wedding photographer. Your bliss is also your business, and many people may have asked you this, or you might have asked this question yourself. The challenges of entrepreneurship, of running a business where you're paying salaries, all of that can be pretty taxing. So how do you manage the creative juice in you and the entrepreneurial streak in you, both? How do you balance the two? Is there a balance required at all?
So when I started, I wanted to be alone. I wanted to be this solo photographer who was traveling around and taking pictures, and didn't want to have a team and all that. But I was very sure that it should not affect my bliss or this happiness. I wanted to do this for it and be happy, right? But then slowly it went to a stage where things are getting overwhelming, right? I had to sit and edit pictures, and it was taking a lot of time. It was not giving me that happiness. So I said, okay, I have to delegate stuffs, right? So I started hiring one person, delegate stuff, and then when that got overwhelmed, I heard somebody else. In this process, right, I realized something. On the 1st of every month, the team has become big. Everything is like formalized and all that. Everything goes through bank transfers. The salaries all go to bank transfer. But first start from the white envelope. The first month, every month, I'll give the salary. Oh, it is so like it's an amazing feeling. Oh, salary good number. I'm an entrepreneur, and that salary changed their life. I was like, oh, this is amazing, man. I want to do more of this. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop with one or two. I want to stop. I want to do more of this. So, in a way, I also realized your passion could not be only one thing. Your passion could be on several things. So slowly, I realized my passion is also business and team building and or a team create பண்றது. So I was so hooked into it. Started reading about it. In the delegation, I got this idea after reading a book called 4-Hour Work Week. So on the initially I was taking all the calls, then it got overwhelming. So I said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I came into this because I want to be happy. I wanted to enjoy this, but I'm never going to make this as a work, as a job for me. I'm going to make sure this is a happy thing for me. So I had to do everything to keep this happy, right? To keep this as a happy journey. So that's when I decided, okay, team has to come up. And also, like you said, like Ravi said, balancing adala. So I had interest in this, I had interest in this also, both. So I'm just doing it.
Fantastic. This is very interesting. You should say this because there was a time in my life, and I'm so happy you're getting this so young, Amar. There was a time in my life, and I talk about it in my book also, when I remember going up to Vani and asking her, what the hell are we doing with our business? We're not enjoying it anymore. And his key operative word, again and again and again, he repeated it 3 times in his answer, is enjoying the process. Whether it's being a photographer, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's being a team leader, you've got to enjoy that process. And so if you feel something is in conflict with that, you've got to examine the reasons for that. So bliss is business is not a bad word. Many people think you cannot make money out of your bliss. You can, you should, but the key thing is, are you enjoying the process? That's what I'm picking up from both their journeys are kind of marrying, kind of coming together over there.
I should say this, Archana, if Netra would have been here, she would have come up to you and she would have, add so many points about husband, like,
Okay, so amazing. I'm looking at the time. I think we'll move straight into the quiz segment. It's been, I always feel at the end of every Bliss Catcher edition, we're still not at the end, so please wait with us for another 8 minutes. But I always feel that 90 minutes is not enough. I could have still explored a little bit, but we did a great conversation so far. Let's go to the quiz questions from Ravi first to the audience. Mugs coming up your way. Okay? Hands on the buzzer. And these questions will be slightly better than my questions, sure.
Now you're setting the bar very high. Okay. Which college did I go to? many months. That's too many months.
That's too many months.
Okay.
Ask another question.
Okay. What is the name of my first guru in Bangalore?
Hema. Hema, come forward. She answered. Hema, please come forward. Dr. Chari, you came a nanosecond behind schedule.
Doesn't matter. That's nice. She gets. I'm happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So my question is, I authored a book on a temple. Either tell me the name of the book or the temple on which the book was.
Meenakshi?
No, Stones and Stories is the name of the book, and it is about Kanchi Kailasanath temple.
So you'll give it to him? You'll give it to Ramesh? Yeah. Ramesh on a winning streak today. I hope India is doing it in Pune.
We had a
Pact, huh? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you. Okay, let me invite Ashwin here to give away our. The event is not yet over. I'm still to do my wrap. So let me invite Ashwin to give away our prized trophies to both our Bliss catchers today, Ravi and Amar. You also get your mug, Ravi. Oh wow! So your coffee will also taste blissful tomorrow morning. I know Archana would make great coffee, you would make great coffee, but it'll taste different tomorrow morning. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to. I'm noticing that we still have a couple of minutes, so I'm going to ask one question to each of these gentlemen, and then do a quick wrap. So please stay with me. My question to you both is the same. How do you deal with the anxieties and stresses of everyday living? Okay, worries. The commute to work, the travel around the city, the travel around the country. It can be quite draining, and yet you have to do what you have to do, which is live a full life, give attention to your music, to your photography, to your entrepreneur's role. How do you kind of revive yourself when you're dealing with stresses of everyday living? Is it music again?
Completely. Music. Music is what keeps me going every day. Music is running some part of the mind at every instant of time. Music changes. You think of different kind of music.
Have you healed in a day when you walked into your sadhagam with a lot of stress, carrying from your work, from your personal situation, and the music has healed you?
Oh, many times. Music has given me everything. In terms of whether it is tears of joy or tears of anxiety. Sometimes because you just feel that you're not doing as well as you think you should do, or something you sing something you don't get, whatever. But even that is a blissful state to be. The fact that you're trying something, the fact that you're enjoying that process, right? So the go-to point is invariably music.
Go-to point is invariably music. What about you, Amar?
So when you're stressed, when you have a lot of tension, what do you do? Like you take vacation, you take a break, right? I kind of do that every day. So I have this morning routine that I got after reading a book called Morning Miracle. So I get up early in the morning, go to gym. The first thing that I do is go to gym. 5 to 6 is my gym time, and it's not a gym. It's a CrossFit class where you're in a class. So it's amazing how you have this personal time and how you live in that moment. I feel with our mobile phones, we are always in this past or future, right? Like this 1 hour of class is amazing because I live in that moment. I don't use my phone. I'm not in a call. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just thinking about this exercise, right? And then also after that, I go to beach every day and I watch sunrise. Like I said, when you're stressed, when you're doing so much of things, what do? You take a vacation, go to beach, right? I go to beach every day, and I watch sunrise. And it's amazing to see every day there is somebody sitting there and saying, "Oh, today I'm going to paint it, in purple. Today I'm going to paint grey. Today I'm going to paint it yellow. oh, today I'm not going to paint anything, just plan, right? So I want to see how today is painted. Right? That gives me a very nice feeling. I just sit or I just walk or jog or do something and then watch the sunrise. It's like that rejuvenating thing that you get in a vacation, right? So I do that.
So you vacation every day?
Every day.
And I like his definition. I like to see how today is painted. Do you like to see how today is painted? What is your go-to point? That's what these two gentlemen leave me with. And I will share a personal anecdote. I've said it a few times. I have a very painful situation on my left side, on my shoulder. This morning, I popped a pill to relieve me of acute pain. I didn't sleep well last night, but I healed through this conversation. That is my view. I suddenly when I was asking you that question and you were talking about did you heal, I was actually referring to myself also. So I did heal, and that's what bliss does to you. So you have to experience it. I can keep talking about it, but you have to experience it. So whatever it is that you love doing, don't postpone it. I think it was Hafiz, again, 14th century Persian poet, Hafiz, who said, heart, if you deposit today's joy for tomorrow, if you deposit today's joy for tomorrow, you may be left with nothing, for who can guarantee it? That was his line. So don't postpone your bliss, follow it, and doors will open. This has been an amazing conversation, Ravi and Amar, so deep, so spiritual, and so practical, your perspectives. I wish we could go on and on, but I do have to draw it to a close, which is today's edition, the 43rd edition. We do have the next edition coming up on November 24th. We still have one more edition, ma'am. 24th November. We have a man called Srinath Balachandran who said no when he got an offer to sing for A.R. Rahman. When he auditioned and he was selected to sing for Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na, he said, no, my bliss lies in making chocolates and making the world better, one chocolate at a time, one person at a time. That's Srinath Balachandran, and paired with him is theatre artist and theatre champion Vetri, who felt that he had everything. He had a modeling career that was beginning to unfold, he had money, he had a reasonable amount of fame, and he felt that something was missing. So he went on a blind trip and found his bliss in folk theatre art forms of Tamil Nadu, and has embraced it completely, that he doesn't know what else he could be doing if he had not been doing this. So both these gentlemen, Srinath Balachandran and Vetri, will be joining us on 24th November, 7 p.m. It's the last Saturday of November. If it is the last Saturday and it is 7 p.m., it's all happening at Odissi. Thank you so much. Please stay in touch, and Vani and I do have a very strong internet footprint. You can look us up, and good luck and happiness to all of you. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it? Yes, thoroughly.